So, welcome, Kristen. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. How are
Thank
you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for coming on the show or the episode. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing these days? What's your passion? What are you focusing
Yes. So, as a certified health and life coach, I specialize in stress and anxiety and also helping people move forward in their life.
on?
So, I end up working with a lot of people that are feeling, I know a lot of us are feeling overwhelmed, exhausted, and depleted, but just helping people find easy to implement health and fitness strategies so that they can kind of tap back in, be more present in their life for the things they love doing.
Yeah.
I also have a passion, of course, to work with moms and moms that just feel overwhelmed trying to balance motherhood, healthy living with motherhood.
Ah,
And I do this through, I have a 90-day program and I have transformational fitness program and body reset programs.
wow, that's awesome. So, you're doing a lot. So, maybe you can share with us if it's that mom that does feel overwhelmed or anxious, what are some tips or techniques you find yourself giving them?
So I think mostly for moms, it's, slowing down to nourish and even nourishing, just taking time to eat sitting. I mean, that sounds silly, but I think as a mom, we rush around, we're giving to everybody else, and we forget to just slow down and give to ourselves. So I think that would be kind of one of the bigger tips for moms, like slow down, nourish yourself with food, slowly sitting and eating, but also with the things that you love to do. And be okay with that. Don't feel that's not selfish. That's not, don't have any guilt around that. And also letting things go off the to-do list. It does not have to all get done in a day. I mean, there's a lot on this topic I could talk about, but I think those would be some of the things. The other thing is sort of starting small
Hmm.
rather than having these big realistic expectations of things that we put on ourselves. Break it down to like the smallest pieces that you can, and it's much better to do that rather than to overwhelm yourself.
Hmm.
So I would say breaking things down into smaller pieces and slowing down and giving yourself permission to not get everything done and to nourish yourself.
Beautiful. Yeah, I really love the small steps that can lead to a bigger goal. What about the mom that knows she needs? So I think sometimes, like some moms, I know myself is included, they know that they need to slow down or take a moment to give back to themselves or take something off the to do list. What about when they maybe don't consciously realize that they don't feel that they're worthy enough for that time, or they feel pressured to, my baby's crying, I need to do this, I need to do that? How do you encourage them and guide them into instilling that place of value that they do need this to give back to others?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, it's, with me, the way that I work with people, it is like a slower process through
Mhm.
this, 90 days or this period of time where we can sort of unlock some of these beliefs that they're having and then set the stage to kind of change those habits for better ones.
Mhm.
So I think a lot of it is sort of figuring out what would motivate them to make a change, and then
Ah,
also allowing them the time and space to even think about this stuff. Because I
mhm.
think a lot of it is you get into this place of overwhelm, and then you're just kind of going, and it turns into this, like, you're not even ever really slowing down to do that.
Right.
And so I think, I mean, some of the moms and people I talk to are just like, I just love even having this time that I set for myself so that I can think. Um, so I think that that's a big part too, is just allowing themselves to create that time and space to think, and
Mhm.
then those changes can come from there. And so I work with people setting up, different we have different aspects that we focus on, which is very personalized to them. But it'll be like, for example, which activities drain your energy, which activities feed your energy. And so literally making a list of what is draining your energy in the day and what is feeding your energy in the day can be so profound, because then you can kind of look at it and go, wow, there's a lot of things that are draining my energy in a day. And then we'll work to kind of change that.
Okay. I was like, then what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah. And small, again, very small steps. I mean, a lot of what I do is we will hone in on, because again, we'll want to change everything. Oh my gosh, just these huge lofty goals. And then that ends up in failure. So we break it down into smaller, more realistic, doable things that don't feel overwhelming, and then accomplish those. And then it can kind of keep building from there.
Got it. Yeah. So then you're also building the confidence in that time when you have those small wins. You can say, oh, okay, yeah, I can trust myself to actually complete something. And so now I know I can take on more bigger challenges as well.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and you may think you wanted something, but then once we start to really break it down and get a little more into that belief in that identity, you don't even want that thing anymore. You want something else, or you discovered this other aha moment. That's what's so neat too, is just seeing people discover their own. We all really do have our own innate wisdom and our own innate, we all know our own answers. We just don't ever give ourselves the time to do it, or those questions we're not asking ourselves. But once we do, it's like, wow, I actually really want this. I don't even want that, so that's what can come up too, which is really neat.
Yeah. What are some of those questions that they might ask themselves in that time of thinking, which is so important?
Well, I think a lot of it is kind of just figuring out what does truly motivate them. Like what does truly motivate me, and what do I want? Which sounds like sort of a basic question, but it's, a lot of people don't even know, because it's what they think they should have, or what they've been trained to have, or what they've been raised with, or what society says you should have, or what the neighbors have it. And we all have this. Everybody's got that. But I think once we get to those layers and kind of start to really discover ourselves, and really as a coach, which has taken me a while to learn, but I'm not giving advice necessarily. I'm asking questions that allow them to come up with their solutions. And then we implement their solutions. And so that's what's so neat about it, is because it comes truly from who you are and what you want. You kind of came up with this, and then it's so much more powerful that way, because it's true and authentic for you.
Yes.
And then we work on the little plan of setting it, which is the accountability and the action steps, all that stuff to kind of get you to actually complete your goals, or wherever you want to go. There's little tricks along the way that I could do to help them, but they're really coming up with it.
Yeah.
Themselves.
Right. That's great. What if in this process, you mentioned habits, they unravel a habit that maybe is not serving them anymore to help, fulfill this new plan? How do you work on changing habits or creating new ones?
Yeah. I think that it is, again, it's breaking that down into smaller pieces. So let's just say you have 4 sodas a day. That's your habit. You drink 4 Coca-Colas a day, and you don't want to anymore. That's a habit you no longer want. Most people will say, I'm cutting out sugar. I'm going to cut out sugar, and I'm going to cut out soda tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to cut it all out after I have my 4 today. So what happens there? Most of the time you may do that for a few days, but then you end up failing. You try it, and then you give it up entirely. So you go back to drinking the sodas, and you're frustrated, you're depleted. You're defeated, and then you're like bummed, and it's this vicious cycle. So really, when you're changing the habit, what I would suggest is let's just start with, can you do 3? Okay, let's do 3 a day and let's see how that goes. And then they do that. And then we work down to, maybe they can even do 1 in a few weeks. And then once they do that, well, we figured out which foods give you energy and which ones take them away. Maybe start replacing the soda with, and it doesn't have to be water or some healthy drink. It's something that's better than the soda.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a juice drink. And then they're going to do the juice drink, and it varies with different people based on your personality, but that's kind of how my approach is. Don't set them up for failure by taking it all away or making we're going to cut it out for a month and then you could go back to it. Because, but it's, let's start small and incrementally work our way by replacing it with other things that you love. And before you know it, they're drinking water most of the time, or coconut water, whatever.
Right.
Something that's much better.
Right. Yeah, I like that replacement. And then also just giving yourself a little slack to, it doesn't have to be so perfect all the time, because then that often sets someone up for failure as well. So in your own life, because I know you're busy with your business and being a mom yourself, how do you incorporate some wellness tips and techniques into your own life?
Yes. Well, for me, I'm a firm believer of a morning ritual. And when I say morning, it doesn't have to be 5 in the morning. Right. It's whenever you wake up. So if you're someone who has a night job and you wake up at 10, 11, 12 in the afternoon, that's okay too. Morning just meaning how you start your day. Mm-hmm. So I usually start my day with meditating or stretching. It varies, but it'll be some type of calming activity like that, reading an inspirational book or stretching, journaling. So I'll do that for about 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
And I have found if you have a place in your home that you've created that space, it could just be a yoga mat. It could be an actual quiet little space that you like. You can make it as elaborate or as simple as you want, but just go there every day, and you start to create this habit. It'll start to stick. And then I add physical activity in most days, whether that's walking the dog or surfing when I can, or going to a yoga class. Being active is non-negotiable for me. It's such a big part of my life. And so then those are pretty much the things I do. And it makes me more productive. I'm a better mom. I'm a better parent. I mean, everybody wins. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. And it's simple. You're going with the flow. It's just right when you wake up and moving in the day.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. So let's say, you have an off week or an off day or encounter a challenge in some way. What's something you do to overcome that challenge or get out of a funk or get remotivated or re-sparked?
Yeah. I think having a good support system, and it doesn't have to be a lot of people. I think just a couple key people in your life, or even inspirational podcasts, like people that inspire you. Doing that when you're really feeling that down, talking to those people. A lot of people may not always want to talk, but if you don't feel like you want to talk to people, then listening to that inspirational podcast would be great. And I mean, breathing, slowing down, knowing it's going to be okay, kind of that self-talk. We all talk to ourselves so horribly sometimes, Talk to yourself like you would to your friend, your best friend, Right. So sometimes just like, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. And part of it, I do believe that you have to let it come up, right? Not push it down, not push it away. If there is something really stressful or you are really feeling down, it's, don't know, just be happy. No, I mean, right. Sit quietly, let that come up and discover some of those things, but then it's kind of moving through it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's lovely. That's something I try to work with. And it's hard because sometimes when, you're in like an uncomfortable emotion such as sadness or grief or anger, or like confusion, it feels yucky when you're in it. But if you just sit with it and allow it to pass, then like you said before, it's temporary. You'll come out on the other side. So any other parting words of wisdom that you would like to share with everyone?
Yeah, I mean, this kind of goes along with that thought too. It's like the human experience. We create suffering for ourselves. We really don't have to create as much suffering as we do, but I think it's just part of the human experience. So knowing that we don't have to create that much suffering, there's going to be terrible events that occur in the world. There's going to be terrible events that may occur in your life, but just knowing it's how you deal with, react to, and learn from those events is so key. That's where you can really, I mean, some of those challenges can be your biggest growth points. So I think taking them head on, but also moving and learning from them is what, and also that we have so much personal power. I think we give away that power. So it's really my wish that we can tap back into that personal power as much as we can, so we do live our best lives. And so, that's kind of one of my missions, is just helping us all express the best version of ourselves, because it gets reflected back into the world when we do that. So it's a win-win. We all rise up if we tap into our own personal power. It's reflected.
Yeah. I mean, both those points here at the end are huge. How would you guide someone to take back their power if they feel really depleted, or they did, give it out unknowingly to others?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because me and you are going to be touching on a little bit of this on our workshop. And so I'll be just kind of touching a little more on this. But I think a lot of it, tapping back into your personal power, is knowing that you do have a lot of control over your own emotions and your own self. We can't control others. We can't change others, but we can take control. I hate the word control, but like we can take control over our emotions. And a lot of that is through self-care. It's through these self-care principles that are really quite basic, but we just get caught up. It can go back down to the basics of self-care. That's what I would almost break it down to.
And by doing that actually, ties back to that other big point that you mentioned, the suffering, because if we're able to recognize our emotions, that, our thoughts cause our emotions, really. So even though a circumstance, if, it might happen in our life personally or outside of us in the world, that, how we choose to react to that scenario can also either fuel negative emotions, or, you can ride them through. Because even if it is, something, as you mentioned, something terrible or not ideal, it's okay to be frustrated or angry or sad, but at the same time recognizing that, how your perception of that event is also going to contribute to how you feel negatively, or you have the possibility to also work your way out of it and switch those emotions by almost changing your perceptions at times. And sometimes you really do need help with that. I know that's why I have my coaches, my mentors. I talk with people, because sometimes you get trapped in your own box of thoughts sometimes, which is why we created this event. So I'll leave a little bit more information at the end of the podcast, but Kristen and I will be hosting a live workshop here in San Diego on the 10th of October. Is that correct?
Yeah.
At the Ignite Wellness Clinic in Encinitas here. So if you are interested in that and hearing more about what Kristen's describing on how to bring more self-care into your life and reclaim your power and energy, feel more vibrant, then please join us. I'll put the link to register in the show notes. So in the meantime, Kristen, where can they find you?
They can find me at Kristen Kurtz, Kurtz coaching.com. And also on Instagram, I'm Kristen Kurtz Coaching. And yeah, I'm excited to I'll be found with you at your place.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got a couple other little classes and things that are on, which most of it goes on to Instagram, or on my website.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing everything today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for doing this.
You're very welcome.